You know that feeling when a game trailer makes you scream, "Shut up and take my money," and then the actual game shows up looking like it got lost on the way to the graphics department? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're counting down 10 times developers straight up lied to gamers and got caught. From buggy disasters to overhyped promises, this list is packed with jaw-dropping betrayals you won't forget. Buckle up, it's gonna get spicy. Number 10, Watch Dogs. You remember that legendary E3 2012 demo, right? The one where Chicago looked like it had just been bathed in cinematic lighting by God himself? Yeah, turns out the only thing criminal in Watch Dogs wasn't hacking traffic lights. It was how good that trailer looked compared to the real thing. When Ubisoft dropped that demo, people went nuts. The reflections, the rain, the smoke, the crowd detail, it looked like the first true next-gen experience. But when the game finally launched in 2014, fans booted it up and went, wait, did my graphics card just take a vacation? The final build looked noticeably flatter, fewer effects, washed-out lighting, and a world that felt like it was missing all that E3 sparkle. Here's the kicker. Modders later dug into the PC files and discovered hidden rendering settings that literally matched the E3 version. Ubisoft claimed it was all for performance stability, but come on, it felt more like someone buried the evidence. Now, to be fair, Watch Dogs wasn't a terrible game. It had cool mechanics and a decent open world. But when you promise players the Mona Lisa and deliver a finger painting, people tend to notice. Not a crime, unless you bought a ticket to the magic show and they left the rabbit in the van. Anyway, speaking of trailers that promised way more than the final product, oh boy, the next one is pure sci-fi deception. Number 9, Aliens Colonial Marines. Yes, Aliens Colonial Marines, the game that made fans realize sometimes the real horror isn't the alien, it's the marketing department. Gearbox showed off demos that looked incredible. Dynamic lighting, eerie atmosphere, smart enemy AI. It looked like the Alien game we'd been dreaming about for decades. Then the game launched, and suddenly the xenomorphs were moving like confused Roombas. The lighting disappeared, and the cinematic atmosphere got replaced by fluorescent sadness. Turns out, those shiny demos, they weren't exactly the real game. According to reports, the footage shown at conventions was a custom-built vertical slice, a dressed-up showcase designed to look like gameplay, but running on scripts and temporary assets that never made it into the final product. Basically, they staged the perfect dinner photo, then served you cold instant noodles. It got so bad that fans actually filed a class-action lawsuit accusing Sega and Gearbox of false advertising. Yeah, that's how big the gap was. This wasn't a little downgrade. This was, you sold me a completely different game. And the funniest part? Years later, modders found a single typo in the AI code that made enemies behave like actual predators. One letter. That's how fragile this lie was. Fixed by the alphabet. If marketing were a person, it'd be serving you yesterday's lies with a smile. From canned trailers to Kickstarter promises that smelled suspiciously like vaporware, things are about to get godly, but not in a good way. Number 8, Godus. Peter Molyneux, the man, the myth, the over-promise machine. If you've been gaming long enough, you know he's basically the king of saying you'll be able to do anything, and then shipping a game where you can mildly influence the weather. When Godus hit Kickstarter, it sounded amazing, a spiritual successor to Populous, where you'd literally shape worlds, command followers, and play God. Thousands of backers threw in their cash, expecting divine creation. What they got felt more like divine punishment. At launch, Godus was missing huge chunks of what was promised. Deep systems, gone. Multiplayer, barely existed. The big Mystery Cube winner who was supposed to become a digital god inside the game, he never really got that throne. More like a thanks for playing email. And to make things worse, 22 Cans pivoted into mobile freemium mechanics, with timers and microtransactions, the exact opposite of what backers funded. And Peter's response? Mostly, we're still working on it, which became the Molyneux mantra of the decade. Eventually, the update slowed to a crawl, the devs moved on, and backers were left staring at what felt like a half-finished God sim with divine abandonment issues. It's one thing to dream big, it's another to sell the dream and ship the nap. Kickstarter to crowdfunding, and the next entry shows what happens when crowdfunding goes sideways and a beloved developer's reputation goes right with it. Number 7. Mighty Number 9. Mighty Number 9, the game that proved even legends can trip over their own hype. When Mega Man creator Keiji Inafune announced his spiritual successor, fans lost their minds. Finally, a return to old-school platforming glory. Kickstarter pledges poured in like energy tanks at a boss rush. But what started as a dream reunion quickly turned into a masterclass in how not to manage expectations. The game was delayed multiple times, the art style changed mid-development, and backer communication turned into an awkward, "we'll update soon" loop that never really ended. When Mighty Number 9 finally launched, it was buggy, lifeless, and somehow uglier than the fan art people made before release. And who could forget that infamous marketing trailer? You know, the one that told fans their explosions would look like an anime fan on prom night? Yeah, nothing screams "we respect our audience" like roasting your own backers. Backer rewards were delayed, versions were broken, and what was supposed to be a triumphant return of a gaming icon became a cautionary tale plastered across every gaming forum. The Kickstarter moral? Hype responsibly, or prepare for your update feed to become a digital graveyard of excuses and broken promises. And if broken Kickstarter dreams make your blood boil, just wait until you see how AAA studios can spend millions to make the exact same mistake, but louder. Number 6. Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda, or as fans called it, Mass Defect. BioWare promised us the next great sci-fi adventure across galaxies, and what we got looked like a motion capture test from a PlayStation 2 cutscene. The trailers sold this thing as cinematic, emotional, and polished, a fresh start for the series. But the moment players saw those dead-eyed stares and rubbery facial animations, the dream cracked faster than the Normandy's windshield. NPCs looked like they were auditioning for a bad TikTok filter, dialogue glitched, and characters slid across the floor like they were powered by banana peels. And here's the part that stung. BioWare wasn't exactly lying about what they wanted to make, but the development was a mess. Multiple studios, constant leadership changes, and a rushed deadline meant a project that was basically held together by duct tape and caffeine. According to insiders, huge sections were rewritten or scrapped entirely just months before launch. So all those smooth cinematic trailers, they were showing off the best case scenario, not the reality players actually got. And yeah, the memes practically wrote themselves. My face is tired, writer XE has stopped responding, you name it. For a studio that once defined emotional storytelling, this was like watching Shakespeare performed by malfunctioning robots. When your game's acting looks out of work, fans sniff out the stagehands. From technical flops to whole live service fantasies that never actually, live. Number 5. Anthem. If Mass Effect Andromeda was a stumble, Anthem was BioWare's full-on nosedive into the live service abyss. The trailers promised an epic shared world experience, flying mechs, dynamic storms, evolving endgame, basically Destiny with actual personality. What we got instead was a half-charged Iron Man simulator that forgot to include fun. The hype cycle was ridiculous. Every showcase looked like the second coming of sci-fi gaming. That smooth flight, those explosions, the promise of a living, breathing world. And then the game dropped, and players realized the only thing evolving was their frustration level. Missions repeated endlessly, loot was meaningless, and the story, from the studio that gave us Mass Effect 2, felt like it was written during a coffee break. Behind the scenes, the chaos was real. Development kept restarting, the Frostbite engine fought them every step of the way, and leadership kept changing mid-project. When BioWare finally launched Anthem, it wasn't a game. It was a glorified tech demo with good music. The backlash was so bad, BioWare actually announced a full reboot, Anthem Next. Sounds heroic, right? Except the rebuild quietly got canceled before it even left the hangar. The same hangar your Javelin is still stuck in, by the way. Speaking of contractors, that "we'll rebuild it" line sounds good until you realize someone already canceled the contractor. Speaking of canceled promises, Bethesda's next one took the cake for broken expectations lawsuits, and PR blunders so bad, they practically patched their reputation into the ground. Number 4, Fallout 76. When Bethesda said they were giving us a new online Fallout experience, nobody expected the online part to refer to how many bugs could fit on one server. The hype was real, a massive multiplayer Fallout, exploring Appalachia with your friends, building settlements, nuking zones, sounded amazing on paper. But at launch, Fallout 76 was like watching your favorite franchise take a nosedive into a bug-infested swamp. NPCs, missing. Questlines, bare bones. The servers crashed more than a Windows XP on dial-up, and the game's physics engine had a meltdown every 10 minutes. And that's just the in-game stuff. The real chaos came from the PR disasters. Remember the premium canvas bag they promised in the $200 collector's edition? Players opened their boxes to find flimsy nylon knockoffs. Bethesda's response? We're sorry you're disappointed. Then there was the Nuka Rum fiasco. Glass bottles shown in ads, but fans got cheap plastic ones. By the end of it, the community was more irradiated with anger than any vault dweller. Refunds were a nightmare, private servers barely worked, and players who paid extra for the Fallout 1 subscription basically got VIP access to more bugs. Legal complaints started rolling in, and Bethesda's "It Just Works" meme became the internet's favorite punchline. You can't patch trust with a 50 gig day one download. From a broken online launch to one of the biggest PR explosions of the decade, let's talk about a space adventure that promised everything and delivered nothing. Number 3, No Man's Sky. Remember when Sean Murray promised a shared universe where you and your friends could explore infinite planets together? Yeah, turns out the only thing infinite was the disappointment when nobody could actually find each other. No Man's Sky launched in 2016 looking like the most ambitious indie game ever made. 18 quintillion planets, dynamic ecosystems, alien civilizations, and seamless space travel. It sounded like sci-fi heaven, until players booted it up and realized most of those planets looked like procedurally generated deserts with space jelly beans hopping around. The biggest lie? Multiplayer. Murray said you can run into other players, but when 2 players tested it live on day 1, standing in the exact same spot, they couldn't each other. Internet detectives compared trailers to gameplay and found entire features missing. Sandworms, giant fleet battles, complex trading systems, gone. The backlash was nuclear. Steam reviews bombed, Reddit turned into a war zone, and the meme "No Man's Lie" trended everywhere. Then came the weird part. Silence. Hello Games vanished for months. No PR spin, no excuses, just a studio quietly patching a universe they'd overpromised. And years later, they did it. Massive updates added multiplayer, base building, fleets, and VR. The game today is practically unrecognizable from launch. It's the rarest thing in gaming, a comeback born from total failure. Bold promises, tiny team, massive meltdown, and somehow one of the best redemption arcs of all time. Speaking of lies that didn't get redemption, our next one wiped billions off a company's value overnight. Number 2, Star Citizen. If ambition could print money, Star Citizen would have colonized Mars by now. Chris Roberts and Cloud Imperium Games promised the ultimate space sim. Seamless planets, massive fleets, player-driven economies, FPS combat, exploration, and a living, breathing galaxy. Sounds great, right? Well, it's been over a decade and the galaxy's still in beta. Since 2012, the project has raised more than $700 million, yes, million, from backers buying ships, land plots, and even in-game insurance for things that don't fully exist yet. The trailers are stunning, the concept art looks like Hollywood-level sci-fi, but ask players when the full release is coming, and you'll get the same answer you'd get asking Bethesda for a stable launch. Someday. Every year brings a new promise. Better netcode, bigger planets, deeper systems. And every year the roadmap just expands. It's like watching a PowerPoint presentation slowly evolve into a religion. The game's playable alpha does exist, and to be fair, some of it looks incredible, but bugs, server crashes, and feature creep keep it feeling like an eternal work in progress. Meanwhile, the marketing machine never stops. New ship packs, new concept sales, new backer events. It's a galaxy that runs on hype fuel. And after more than 10 years, Star Citizen has become less of a game and more of a case study on how far coming soon can stretch before time itself collapses. When your roadmap is longer than the game itself, skepticism isn't negativity, it's self-defense. And the one that actually broke the internet, triggered refunds, store removals, and tanked a company's stock overnight? Oh yeah, that's next. Number 1, Cyberpunk 2070. You remember the hype. Keanu Reeves, neon streets, flying cars, breathtaking everything. Cyberpunk 2070 wasn't just a game, it was supposed to be the future of gaming. But when PS4 players finally booted it up, the only thing futuristic was how fast it crashed. The game of the decade quickly turned into a slideshow of bugs, T-posing NPCs, and physics that made you question reality. CD Projekt Red promised a revolutionary open world where choices mattered, systems intertwined, and Night City felt alive. What players got was a city so broken that Sony literally pulled it off the PlayStation Store, something that almost never happens. Refunds were issued, lawsuits filed, and the studio's once god-tier reputation took a nosedive faster than a corpo suit off a mega building. And the irony? The PC version wasn't half bad, which only made console players feel even more duped. It became the ultimate modern cautionary tale. You can't patch trust no matter how many hotfixes you drop. To their credit, CD Projekt Red spent years rebuilding the game, and Phantom Liberty finally delivered the experience fans were promised. But it also left a permanent scar on the industry, a reminder that when marketing crosses into fiction, players will notice. When your post-launch PR involves Sony, lawsuits, and a global apology tour, yeah, that crown is made of tinfoil. After 10 wild rides through hype and broken promises, one thing is clear. Marketing can promise the stars, but reality often delivers a paperweight. Some studios, like Hello Games, redeemed themselves. Others, well, the lawyers got involved. So here's the question. Which of these lies hit you hardest? Hit subscribe if you love gaming drama, epic fails, and redemption arcs, because the chaos never stops.